Welcome to People and Profit, the show with a perfect mix of business and leisure. Coming up, striking the best work-life balance. We'll look at the rise of job sharing in Germany and speak to an expert about getting the best of both worlds. With a multitude of crises on the horizon, is Uber's stock market debut doomed before it happens? And a star no more, why economics is forcing a French chef to give up his prestigious Michelin title. First up, though, it's been nearly a century since the idea of an 8-hour working day became popular in developed economies. But for many, it's now an outdated concept, particularly as we spend more time connected to work via email and our phones. Work-life balance is a challenge for both employers and workers. In Germany, where unemployment is at a record low, more people are taking up the option of job sharing. And that's a system that can work for employers too, as our correspondents have been finding out.
In the office, they are known as the twin sisters, because Medita and Carla both share the single position of project manager at this Berlin startup. They share everything: responsibilities, an office, a salary, and their working time. They do 20 hours each. This is the idea behind job sharing.
The biggest advantage is the chance to do an exciting job, which is not always the case with part-time jobs, and that you can fully throw yourself into it and be involved in every aspect of the job.
It requires tremendous openness and transparency. You have to be open to sharing everything with the others.
Medita and Carla work on the same documents and take it in turns to attend meetings and contact clients. In this company, which employs 450 workers, the model is taking off, because job sharing between two people can lead to a 10 to 15% rise in productivity.
1 plus 1 is 3.
1 plus 1 is 3. That's the basic idea. I think the two complement each other, compensate for each other's weaknesses, combine strengths, combine creative ideas.
In a country approaching full employment, striking a work-life balance has become a priority for German workers. Several large companies have therefore introduced the job-sharing model.
It costs a little bit more because of the insurance, but if you calculate how a company benefits in the case of an illness or vacation, if a perfectly trained person can step in, then you have quite a big financial profit. It really pays off for the businesses.
1 in 5 companies in Germany now offers jobs to share, and the trend is on the rise.
Well, to talk more about the issue of work-life balance, we're joined from London by Dr. Ioana Lupu, who's an associate professor at the French business school ESSEC. Thank you very much, Dr. Lupu, for speaking to us. Your research
Delighted to be here.
Your research is focused on the idea of where we get our idea of work-life balance. Where does that come from, that concept?
So work-life balance is generally defined as a harmonious integration between work and non-work domains in order for individuals to lead a meaningful and fulfilling life. So I think this definition needs several caveats. So first of all, work-life balance does not concern women and not even mainly women. I think all should understand that work-life balance concerns all workers. Then I think we shouldn't suppose that work-life balance are distinct spheres, especially nowadays with the advent of new technologies. People can work whenever, wherever, so the boundaries between work and life are totally blurred. And then I think it's also important to emphasize the fact that work-life balance has been criticized because it contains a normative presupposition. And I think we should challenge that in the sense that different individuals have different perceptions and different desires with regards to work-life balance. And even one individual could have different preferences of work-life balance throughout one's life.
Going back to this idea of origins, you've looked at how we inherit our perception of what a good work-life balance is.
We noticed how people learn a lot during their upbringing by looking at their parents, by imitating their parents, how the decisions that they make with regards to work-life balance are shaped by their previous experiences and by their previous socialization, mainly in the family. And by becoming aware of these influences, people can make, I think, better decisions with regards to work-life balance. And they will also they will also start questioning things that previously they used to take for granted. Such as, for instance, I had quite a number of women telling me they wanted to mother as their mothers did, but they worked as their fathers.
Does this approach need to go beyond the individual to a corporate or a government level to create policies that allow people to achieve that balance they're looking for?
Most organizations, most firms have implemented work-life balance and flexibility policies. These are insufficiently and unevenly adopted from one part of the business to the other. So more has to be done for individuals to feel that they can they can work flexibly without being penalized, without their careers being penalized. So more has to be done on this side, on making acceptable flexible working. Then I think another thing that companies should do is to include skills such as sustainable development of teams in their performance appraisals and in their promotion criteria, so as to incite managers to adopt work-life balanced patterns of work, more sustainable patterns of work.
OK, Dr. Ioana Lupu from the French Business School, ESSEC, thank you very much for speaking to us. Now, the Japanese conglomerate SoftBank is seeking to take a major stake in Uber. It's offering to buy at least 13% of the ride-hailing firm by buying shares from existing investors. The investment would be a sign of support from a substantial name at a turbulent time for the company. This as it gears up for a potential stock market launch in the coming years. This investment is coming after a rough year for Uber. Brian Quinn is here with more. Brian.
Well, it's been a year filled with scandals, power struggles, and legal challenges. Founder Travis Kalanick was ousted as CEO in June by investors who believed his aggressive style had fostered a toxic culture at the ride-sharing firm. The trigger, a wide-ranging scandal that saw 20 employees fired for sexual harassment, discrimination, and inappropriate behavior. Dara Khosrowshahi, then CEO of Expedia, was recruited to take the reins. He's had a lot of cleaning up to do. The company faces a host of legal troubles. Google's self-driving car unit Waymo has sued over accusations of trade secret theft, with Uber recently accused of withholding evidence in the trial. Drivers have filed legal actions in the UK and California in a bid to force the company to recognize its drivers as employees instead of independent contractors. And London's Transportation Authority declined to renew Uber's license to operate there in October. Uber is appealing that decision. Then came the revelation of a 2016 hack in which personal data for 57 million customers and drivers was stolen. Uber's response at the time, a cover-up, paying the hackers $100,000 to keep quiet. That's unleashed U.S. civil lawsuits and government investigations in several countries. Analysts say the breach could cost Uber up to $250 million. Well, with all the turmoil, why push for a public offering? Uber may be one of the world's most valuable private startups, but it's bleeding money. It lost nearly $3 billion last year and over $2.1 billion so far this year. Facing tough competition from rivals like Lyft, it needs new capital to keep growing. As Uber moves to go public, an image of improved corporate governance after the Kalanick era will be critical. The SoftBank investment is a big test for Khosrowshahi, but righting the Uber ship in time for its IPO will be an even bigger one.
Brian Quinn, thank you very much for that. Now, to something that's almost becoming a trend. After the chef Sébastien Bras asked to be dropped from the prestigious Michelin guide because the pressure was too much, another French restaurateur is handing back his star. But Jérôme Brochot says it's because of the economic crisis that's affected the Burgundy town where he works. Mont-Soleil-Mines has seen some tough times, and the chef says he needs to cut costs to survive. Alex Jennings has the story.
It's the main lunchtime sitting in this Michelin-starred restaurant, and yet there are several empty tables. In just 3 years, the restaurant has lost 80% of its clients, who can no longer afford to pay up to €80 a meal. Holder of a Michelin star since 2005, Chef Jérôme Brochot is giving up the title in an effort to win back customers. He's rethinking his cuisine, using cheaper products.
One of the changes I'm proposing is for the wild turbot to be replaced with sea bream or another type of fish.
And it's cheaper?
Absolutely, yes. It's nearly €9 a kilo. Before it was €35 a kilo, so that's one way of adapting my new menu.
It's a necessary compromise for this restaurant, which has taken a hit from the economic crisis that affected the whole town. A former mining hub, Monceau-les-Mines, with its 20,000 inhabitants, has an unemployment rate well above the national average.
Our businesses have struggled as a result of the recession, particularly when it comes to restructuring, surviving cuts, the loss of a market, the need to modernize.
It's forced local businesses to make changes. This local industrial tap-making company used to meet its clients at the Michelin-starred restaurant. Now, their business meetings are done via video chat.
It used to be 3 or 4 times a month. Nowadays, it's more like once or twice every 3 months, because we're more likely to have discussions via the internet.
The result of cutting their restaurant visits? Fewer diners for Jérôme Brochot. But with the new menu costing around €35 in total, the chef is hoping to attract old and new customers from the area.
And that's it from us for this week. If you've any thoughts on the stories we've been covering, you can get in touch on Facebook at France 24 Business, or you can tweet me at NewStephen. Until next time, thanks for watching.
My name is Jessica Saltz and I'm the Berlin correspondent for France 24. You can find my coverage of German news from here in the capital and beyond on France 24's news programmes and also online at france24.com.
Jessica Saltz, one of the 160 France 24 correspondents around the world.